Hi everyone. The next trick I'll be showing in this video is something I like to call charge boot lag jumps. They're a little bit different from the normal lag jumps, but very similar and pretty easy to learn, but kind of hard to master. The trick with charge boot lag jumps is the first thing you need is the charge boots. You can get these on DAX, and you obviously can't do the trick until then, as it's named after them. After that, you'll need to know that if you press L1 and circle at the same time, you'll shoot in place, and if you're not moving, it doesn't actually shoot all the time with the shot cannon. But if I'm using the splitter rifle, you'll shoot in place. You'll see Ratchet kind of flinch for a second, and that's the animation of him moving into the zoomed in mode. So the way that I'm going to do this is I'm going to first double tap R1 to start my charge boots, then I'm going to press L1 and circle to, instead of getting a recoil animation like this, I'll be getting a standing sliding animation. And at the end of that slide, just before I begin to lose my momentum, I'll be inputting side flips like so, just like we talked about in the first video. The timing is pretty similar to the lag jumps, but not identical, because you have a lot more momentum, so it takes a little bit of practice to get used to. And I want to stress that you don't need to be holding forward at all for this trick. Double tapping R1 will immediately initiate a charge boot forward, so you don't want to hold forward for the next bit of this trick, so you might as well start not holding forward now. So double tap R1, L1 circle, and that was a little bit late, so you can see that I didn't carry my momentum. And that one was too early, so you can see I jumped. So that's how you can adjust and kind of, learn what you're doing wrong. And learn what I'm doing wrong. That's what I need to do, apparently. There we go. So you can carry this on pretty much as far as you can keep up the timing. Like I said, it takes a long time to master, and I'm definitely not someone who's mastered it yet, so just know how to do it. And yeah, there you go. You can keep these lag flips going on as long as possible, just like with the regular lag jump flips. So the next thing is that when you put on the helipack, things start to get interesting. You can actually do a long jump with the helipack to carry your momentum even further, and you do this by pressing R1X instead of holding left or right and pressing R1X at the end of your jump. Again, you don't want to be holding forward. It will affect the timing and make it much harder. So I simply press R1X at the end of my slide, and I gain a lot of distance. You can even add a wrench in at the end. I did that one a little late because when you're in the air, you tend to want to do it later. But you can add a wrench in at the end for the hyperstrike to be able to go a little bit further. In addition, you can also carry the side flips after the long jump. A little bit hard to do, especially since most of the time you use the thruster pack for the side flips, and it takes some time to get used to the helipack. But yeah, that's the basics of charge boot lag jumps. And next I wanted to show just a couple spots where this is actually very useful. There are a lot of spots where you can use these, as well as just general movement. Movement around Starship Phoenix, movement around planets in general. You can use it to move very quickly, especially if you need to kind of get up a slope or adjust your direction a little bit more than charge boots will allow. So one of the first spots you'll use this in a run is in DAX, where you get the charge boots. So I'm gonna go ahead and buy some ammo. Normally you wouldn't have to kill the enemies, so I'm gonna do them here just so we have time. Okay, so in the speedrun there is this large gap, and normally you're intended to go around this way and go through a door and fight a bunch of enemies, but we don't particularly want to do that. We'd rather go fast, so we can actually span this gap with a long jump from the charge boots lag jump. So I like to position myself right about here, but you can move it closer. It's really all up to you, because you don't have to necessarily charge boots very long. So I line myself up right there, and that one was almost a little short. I had to use the hyper strike there at the end to just get over the ledge. But yeah, that's one real application of the lag jumps. And let's see if I can do it again, go in the opposite direction. Nah, see, I actually did it a little bit too late there. My spacing was a little off, so I hit the wall. I'll try it one more time. There we go. So yeah, you just add a hyper strike in at the end to be able to get over the ledge if you didn't quite make the distance properly. So that is one spot where you will use these, and I wanted to highlight one more spot because it's a little bit harder, at least to most people, and I died, but that's fine. So the last spot I want to show is Quark's Hideout. Quark's Hideout is a little bit harder because you don't want to be using your charge boots very long. You have to actually use them for a very, very short amount of time. And because of that, the trick can be just a little bit harder. This video is becoming a bit longer than I wanted, so hopefully I'll get this fairly quickly. Again, just like, or sorry, I guess I didn't mention this. You want to use a gun that forces a recoil like this. You can use many different guns for that. Mega turrets work just fine, so do mini turrets. Shock blaster works. The rifle works, and most stuff other than the whip. The whip, you'll notice, does not work. I was not able to stop my charge at all there. So, all right. So for Quark's Hideout, you use a much shorter charge, so it's a little bit more difficult, but I want to show that you don't necessarily need a very long charge. See, and that's exactly how I would get to this portion of Quark's Hideout, get around the invisible wall. So yeah, that's it for charge boot lag jumps. Next video will have a little bit of a spin on those and show you how to do those from falling from a ledge. Thanks.